Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in again with me here at Success After Pain podcast, where we turn pain into purpose. Just know there was a time in my life when pain controlled my decision. A time when I was searching for relief, searching for answers, and searching for a way out. But I've learned something powerful. Pain can either break you or it can build you. Welcome to Success After Pain podcast, a place where we have real conversations about overcoming addiction, rebuilding after failure, healing from trauma, and discovering purposes through life's toughest moments. If you ever felt like giving up, this podcast is for you. I'm glad you're here. Let's grow together. I would like to share with you today a part of my life story and pertaining unconscious pain. Listen to this. I grew up as a child not knowing that unconscious pain would devastate my life at an early age up into my adult years. Who would have thought it would cost me 26 and a half years or more of my life battling with the disease of addiction in and out of jails and prisons? It didn't matter if I was trying to sell the drugs or use them. My ending results was always the same: jails or prisons. At 19 years old, I realized I was addicted to cocaine and my life had become unmanageable. Today, my mission is helping people turn pain into purpose. I didn't realize at such young and tender age my future as a hopeless addict that enjoyed using cocaine daily to hide what I was feeling. At this time, my life consisted on living to use and using to live. At the end of the road, using became a living nightmare. Hitting rock bottom was devastating to me. Coming from a middle-class family, I let down a lot of people who loved me. It didn't matter because the drugs was more important to me. But most of all, I let down myself. Time and time again, it was times in my life I was too embarrassed to let anyone know that the drugs had caused me to become homeless. So instead, I would commit crimes to go back and forth to jail and prisons to camouflage my shameness along with the insanity that I portrayed at the time. Rock bottom was probably the best thing that ever could happen to me. It taught me a valuable lesson. I realized I couldn't do this by myself. The biggest mistake I made believing I could use successfully. Ask yourself, can a monkey sell bananas? No. That upside down thinking led me to becoming homeless, financially disturbed, repeated recidivism, but most of all, a hopeless drug addict that was headed for slaughter. That was a dark moment of my life, constantly repeating the vicious cycle of addiction. It came a time in my life I lost friends and relationships to the point I had no one to lean on besides my daughter, who needed her father to be there for her. Instead, she was doing all she could to be there for me. It was time that she had to pick me up from prison to buy me clothes, phones, and provided a roof over my head at those times. The disease of addiction don't care how old nor young. Just know when you've been hit by the essence of the disease of addiction, you've been hit by a smooth criminal. Once it's in your system, all bets is off. Check this out. This is for the young mindset that thinks smoking weed and occasionally drinking alcohol is fun and accepted, and you feel you aren't hurting anyone. Keep that thought until it's time for you to tell your story. Just know you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink it. I used to say before I learned that the disease of addiction is real, I felt like I could use and handle the drugs well. We all feel like that in the beginning until it's too late. And know all the signs is available and prevalent at the moment. You are too embarrassed to acknowledge them because of guilt, shame, and embarrassment. Putting the drug down was the hardest thing for me to do. Through many trials and tribulations, I knew I needed to stop, but I couldn't for a long period of time. I didn't know unconscious pain would allow me to stop using people, places, and things. I didn't realize being adopted at 6 months old would affect my life to come. In the beginning, it seems fun until life becomes unmanageable. The turning point for me was when I came from under the hypnosis of addiction and made a life for myself. And coming up on 10 years, 4 months to be exact, I relapsed due to failing contracts and marital issues. I returned to drugs and alcohol, which led me to losing everything. Went from rich to rags overnight. That's when I realized one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. Things that I worked hard to achieve at a high cost were sold at a low price. Unconscious pain forces one's brain to build automatic survival skills from experiencing hitting emotional wounds, simply meaning refusing help, isolating yourself, and believing you can only rely on yourself, saying yes to everything while suppressing your own needs by chasing outside acceptance. That's what unconscious pain does. Nevertheless, I became the product of unconscious pain when I was at my lowest point in life. Here it is, the hope shot, right? You is only valuable for what you can produce. I say it all the time. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Therefore, the universe awoke me to become a beacon light of hope, to awake that sleeping unconscious mindset, to overcome pain and turn it into purpose. Therefore, in order to get a breakthrough from the hypnosis of the disease, one must stop unconscious pain from running your life. Instead, make it conscious. For example, track your irrational thinking process, the patterns, bad habits. In other words, they say you spot it because you got it. Also, pause when you become emotional disturbed. Ask yourself, if I'm behaving like an adult that is conscious minded at this time? Also, identify the exact fear beneath anger and anxiety. In other words, stop acting off of impulsive thinking. Instead, acknowledge you have a problem and find the solution. Just know your pain is real, but it don't have to become your identity. I'm going to leave you with this. The day I stopped chasing the high was the day I started chasing the purpose the universe had been preparing for me all along. Hopefully, I shared something in a part of my story that you can actually take and utilize it to change that pain and turn it into purpose. You know, life is what you make of it, and it's up to you to make that life for yourself. Mom can't do it, wife can't do it, the kids can't do it, even down to the courts. Because if you do it for them, it's not going to last. You got to do it for yourself. You're looking at somebody, man, that had to take on that tenacity of a person that was determined not to die in the act of addiction. You see, one thing about it and two things for certain. If you're sincere about changing, this is the channel that you need to pay close attention to. Why wouldn't you want to take advice or suggestion from someone that lived that lifestyle and overcame the atrocities that led me to heights in my life that I thought that I would never, ever accomplish? Like they said, and like I shared in a part of my story, one is too many and 1,000 is never enough to an addict like me. So we got to be mindful, man, even with what we see and what we hear. Because guess what? We can become enthused and gravitate towards negative energy unconsciously aware, because it may serve the purpose at that time, making us feel some sort of way. Like I always share, your feeling is a fact, but it's not a fact how you feel. You see what I'm saying? So when we deal with feelings, we must be very mindful and don't get caught up with the hype of what we're feeling at the time. Because like I shared a few minutes ago, man, it's a fact that you feel, but your feelings is not a fact. So I would tell anybody that's out there under the tone of my voice, be mindful of the thoughts, be mindful of things that you come into contact with. Life is as great as you make it. Just know that you can come from up under the hypnosis of the disease of addiction if that's your desire. But you got to surrender all of those bad thoughts and bad behaviors that you once betrayed. Thank you for spending this time with me on Success After Pain podcast. If today's episode encouraged you, challenged you, or reminded you that you're capable of more, be sure to subscribe, share, and like, and leave a comment below. Remember this, your pain is not your identity. Your pain is not your destiny. And your struggles is not the end of your story. Keep growing, keep healing, and keep believing. Because success isn't about what you've been through, it's about what you become because of it. Until next time, keep turning your pain into purpose. This is Success After Pain podcast. Peace. Proper education always corrects error over here at Success After Pain podcast.